Hey, you stupid son of a bitch. If you want to hear about one of the greatest I Quit matches of all time, then you came to the right place. If you want to hear about Steve Austin opening a six-pack of whoop ass on Bret the Hitman Hart, give me a hell yeah! And that's the bottom line, because...
Fucking shut up!
Sorry. Like and subscribe. Welcome to 1, 2, Ooh! And today we are going to be talking about, by far, one of my favorite matches of all time. I think when you think about the WWE and everything it has become, and you think about specifically the Attitude Era, there is no image that defines the Attitude Era more than the image of Stone Cold Steve Austin at the end of his unbelievable match at WrestleMania 13 in Illinois against Bret the Hitman Hart. At the time, the WWF is in such an interesting point where it's really transitioning into this Attitude Era. They are getting killed by WCW in the NWO at this time. And this match for me was really the turning point for when the WWF really entered the Attitude Era. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is this anti-hero, drinking beers, cursing, and just beating people down and brawling with guys, taking on Bret the Hitman Hart, who is easily the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. But it's the technician versus the brawler, and it's in such an interesting point of their careers because you got Bret coming out before this match talking about, I've been screwed by Shawn, I've been screwed by the WWF, everyone's against me, right? And no one shows me any respect. And then Steve coming out and saying, I'll never quit, I'll never give up, I don't care what you do, screw you. It's so interesting. And one of the funny parts of this match, right, is I put it on, I watched it earlier today, and I completely forgot Ken Shamrock is the guest referee of this match. I was so focused, and I remember this match in so much detail, and I couldn't believe I could not remember. Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man at the time, is the guest referee for this match. So really a blast from the past. You see the production and everything. It's so much different than what we do nowadays. But anyways, starts off with Steve coming out. Stone Cold's coming to the ring. The crowd is excited for Austin, and you could just tell by the intro, but it's cool because he's still in that heel kind of persona. People are trying to reach out and high-five him, and he's throwing his hands up like, don't touch me. And it's really interesting. Gets in the ring and immediately starts cursing out Ken Shamrock, which is pretty funny. Then Bret's music hit, and it's this weird mixed reception because people remember the hero Bret, and at the same time, there's this crowd that really is like, no, we want Stone Cold. We're done with you, Bret. But he comes out and still does the whole taking his glasses off and giving them to a kid. And, Bret gets into the ring and he starts approaching Steve. And right away, Steve does exactly what he needs to do. Starts turning it into a brawl. He goes and bulldogs him and starts beating him. These two start going back and forth. And what's cool is almost immediately the match is out of the ring. Stone Cold is taking this match to another level. He's going to turn it into a street fight because he's not going to beat the technician in a technical fight. So he takes him out, throws him onto the railing, gets into the crowd. They definitely weren't designed to go into the crowd at this time. You can see the cameras chasing them, but it's not as clean as it is nowadays. And you got Steve and Bret just brawling in the audience. Cool moment where Austin grabs a beer from a fan, chugs it, throws it in Bret's face, hits him with the double birds and starts stomping him. It's really awesome. Another really cool spot out there in the crowd too is Austin actually takes a backdrop from Bret onto the steps. And man, I can't think of a way that you make that feel good or fake that in any. It just had to hurt. And this isn't that time where they're really protecting kayfabe. So everything they're doing, they're trying to make it as real as possible. And these guys are nailing it. These are two of the best you'll ever see. So they're battling it in the crowd. They start heading back, and Ken Shamrock's trying to keep the people out of their way. Tons of crowd all over them. They're in a sea of people. wild to see. They get it back into the ring, and then it starts, right? Bret Hart just shows you why he is Bret Hart. He starts, not only did he brawl with Austin to start this match, but he really starts picking Steve apart. He's targeting the leg. He's doing all the things that a real technician would do. And Austin is just selling so well. Like, you're watching him struggle to stand up as his legs getting taken apart. And every now and then it's kind of going back and forth. There's this real tug-of-war battle. And every time Steve gets the edge, he starts to turn it into that dirty street fight. There's a spot here where he goes and he gets a power cable to choke Bret with it. And Bret gets a little dirty too. Bret strikes him in the head with the bell. It's a bunch of cool spots. And then there's the moment, right? So you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's outside with Bret, and Bret just smashes him into a pole. Austin starts bleeding, right? And the Hitman is doing everything he can to take him out. He's been working his legs the whole match. The whole match he's been working these legs. And when they get inside, and this is after Steve has put the Boston Crab on him. It's like, Stone Cold doesn't really have a submission move that's his finisher or anything like that. So, with Steve, it was always like, he's just going to have to beat Bret until Bret's willing to quit. If Bret is going to quit, which I didn't really ever at that time see a world where Bret would give up. And it was hard to see Stone Cold saying, I quit. So I really, especially in this time, had no idea how this match was going to end. And when you want to talk about iconic close finishes and iconic 1-2 oohs, Bret Hart cinches in the sharpshooter on Steve Austin, and it's in the middle of the ring, and Austin has this blood just gushing down his face, and he is in deep. And it's such a cool moment, one, to see him screaming out in pain like that with the crimson mask. And then two, there's a moment where he actually almost breaks out of the sharpshooter. And you even hear it on commentary. They say, oh my God, no one is broken out of the sharpshooter. And he pushes Bret almost all the way up there, and he's almost out of it. And you think, oh my God, Steve's going to get out. Steve's going to get out. And Bret cinches it back in and lays back down on him. And is just reaching this in on him. Like, Steve is screaming in pain. And then you see it. The rattlesnake goes flat and quiet. Ken Shamrock asking him, Austin, are you in? Stops the match. And that's the end of it. But it's crazy, right? Because Steve Austin loses the match. He loses. Bret Hart wins. Bret shows why the technician is the best in an I Quit match. Bret truly showcases why he is one of the greatest of all time. The work him and Steve did in this match, the psychology, it's really almost perfect. Like, I don't know if I would change anything. And it's crazy too, because there's nothing in the match that's really like high flying or wow, I've never thought I'd see that. Like, today you see a lot of these spots that are crazy. In this match, it really is these two just with so much hatred, and they really focused on their characters and style. Like, Steve Austin is just brawling for his life this whole match, and Bret is doing everything he can to make this a wrestling match and take Steve out. And I loved it from start to finish. I will never forget that image of Stone Cold Steve Austin with the crimson mask locked into the sharpshooter. But like I said, even though Stone Cold lost this match, the man won that night. The crowd, when Steve goes to leave, you just hear them screaming for him, because Steve came out, and in the defiance of the guy who beat him, the guy who's complaining about the company, complaining about how he gets treated, Steve said he would never say I quit, and he never does. Not in this match. He literally comes out there and passes out from the pain and the blood loss just to not say I quit. And to me, nothing else defines the Attitude Era like this match. WrestleMania 13, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And right at the end of it, Bret, you really see the bad guy come out of Bret because he starts attacking Austin and the crowd really starts booing, and Shamrock gets in there, which you knew they had to do. You don't get a special guest referee, especially not Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man, without letting him do a little something. But if you have not seen this match, take the time today. You will not regret it. It is by far one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. And you can argue with me in the comments about that, but I will stand by that. One of the defining moments of the Attitude Era for sure, and still to this day, one of my favorite matches to watch, as well as one of my favorite moments in WWE history. Definitely, it's up there for my Mount Rushmore matches. If you have any other matches that you think I should check out, I'm definitely looking for suggestions. Again, I'm open to check out any match, good, bad, whatever, and give you my opinion and take on it. But this one is definitely in my top, and that's the bottom line, because 8-Bit Mike says so.